The mind sees everything in terms of division. So when we're in mind, we're in a society of division. When we are in the now consciousness, that sees everything as one, because that's what consciousness is. The infinite I. And to perceive reality and live our lives from those two perspectives brings a dramatic difference in the way we see ourselves and life.
We're not exactly sure with this fuzzy line between consciousness and unconsciousness and sleeping and dreaming, and it's all going on in one cycle, but we're not exactly sure what part of it we're playing all the time. We have to hit on things to be sure. I mean, how many times have you had dreams where you, oh, it's a dream. It's a dream. How do you not know that knocking on things isn't a fucking dream? The whole idea that you can dream, the idea that you can imagine, the idea that there's some mystical part of your brain that sees things that aren't really there and puts them into position and moves them around and gives you a little fucking cartoon. What the fuck is that? I mean, we don't know shit. You know, we know a lot. I mean, we're brilliant in comparison to cavemen, but in comparison to understanding just the very nature of the universe. And when you know, subatomic particles and all fucking rules go out the window when you go subatomic. You know, they have things called, where a particle can be in a super state, where it's in a state of moving and it's still at the same time. What the fuck does that even mean? And the idea that you can look at something and as you're looking at it, you change the behavior of it. The observer actually changes the actual atoms that are moving. And what the fuck? How is that possible? We don't know. I'm not sure what this is, and I don't think you are either. I think you can pretend that you're sure because it makes you feel better at night, and you can pretend that everything that you can't hit with a hammer isn't real, and it's just your imagination. It's just what the fuck is consciousness, man? What is this? What is life? What is this idea that, oh, I'm gonna call Bert Kreischer and ask him to come over to my house, and Bert somehow or another navigates his way through space and time and arrives at my doorstep, and us friends get to communicate, and we're talking into some fucking thing that takes all of our voice and all the shit that we say and throws it through some internet and breaks it down to ones and zeros, where it's then interpreted by other people's computers in real time. What the fuck is this? Don't tell me you know what this is. This is bizarreness.
It is.
If life wasn't real, it would be the craziest psychedelic trip ever. It's almost like what a real psychedelic trip is something you're not used to. Something you're not, it just throws you off.
Yeah.
But life itself is the most uber bizarre thing ever.
More. Human race, get off your knees. What are you doing down there? Hey! All these reasons we get on our knees. Oh, God, and oh, bloody hell. All that exists, all imagination, all possibility, all that is, has been, and ever can be. What are you on your frickin' knees to? Yourself.
G'day everyone. It's probably the last video for 2025, and yeah, it's been a good year, I think. And every year goes quicker, right? You remember, everyone always says, "Geez, that year went quick," but you say it every year, and every year goes quicker than the previous year, because I think this is time acceleration, which goes into like the whole spiral that I spoke about this year. But I just want to say, firstly, we're doing that live with Melissa from Remedy on Thursday night, so it'll be 7 o'clock Sydney and Melbourne time, 6 o'clock Queensland time. And yeah, we'll just come and have a look. She's just going to go over homeopathy, as well as like people that are interested in doing her courses. It's like a bit of an intro. It goes through like homeopathy first aid kits and how you can use them for acute problems, and then we'll go on to like talk about even chronic diseases and mental health and those sort of things and how they can be treated and what they've done with homeopathy in the past. And Peter shared quite a bit of this at a really interesting one at the event we had a couple of weeks ago up on the sunny coast. And yeah, Lynch was going to go through homeoprophylaxis and whatever else. So yeah, it'll be 7 o'clock. If people want to join, I'll leave a Zoom link in this video, under this video, for the live if you want to come in. And then I've just like do you know what? I went back and listened to this old Joe Rogan video, and like, forget even about like Joe Rogan politically or whatever you think of him. Like, this was a brilliant video. I might play the whole thing at the end.
We don't know that this universe that we exist in right now is the only universe. We don't know whether or not there are not infinite universes that exist side by side next to each other, and it's the human mind that guides you in one direction from one to another, and that they're all parallel, they're all coexisting in the same sphere. We don't understand the universe. We don't understand any of this stuff. They're just now starting to think that inside every black hole is another universe. Wrap your fucking head around that. They think this is a new theory amongst scientists, not people like me, but amongst scientists. They believe that inside every galaxy is a supermassive black hole. And the newest theory is that inside every supermassive black hole is another universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with a black hole at the center, each containing another universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies. We have no fucking idea.
Life might be just one frame in an infinite movie that lasts forever. The imagination is the real force behind the evolution. What imagination truly is we think of it as like, oh, I can see things, I can work around problems, I have this idea. But when you imagine an idea, when you imagine a product, you imagine how to design an engine for a car, and when your imagination has this idea for this thing, and then you build it and design it, and boom, it's there. That thought, there was no thought of that before it existed. It's not that people were running around thinking of the car and I know what it's going to look like. There was no thought of it. You created this, or it came to you. There was something from nothing, something from what is that? From the ether, something from these, even if it's just these synapses firing in your mind. What is the signal? What is the root of this signal? It is possible that the imagination is something that is information that is out there, like the idea of the Akashic records, the idea of that there's shit out there, and that what we are is little antennas, and that when we tune into something, if we pick up this signal for the engine and someone picks that up, excellent. Once that piece is in place, and then it flowers and blossoms like a Fibonacci sequence on a fucking a sunflower. You know, it all bursts out, exponentially in certain directions, and then that starts creating more inventions which also burst out. But all of them emanate in the imagination initially. All of them have to be thought up. All of them have to be created by the human mind.
I actually used to show this to my school students, and some of them liked it, some didn't. But it's good thought-provoking stuff. And his early stuff was a lot like that. It was all about mind sciences and consciousness and reality and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, like I'll ebb and flow into things, but I always come back to this. And like, if you ask big questions, you'll get big answers. So it's good to have a reminder. I think I just wanted to put this in for the end of the year, just as like a refresher to like what's really going on, and like who we really are, and what the human being is, and what we're doing here. Like if you're not asking those questions, I think you are somewhat hooked to the hive mind. And I'm doing my presentation up at Cosmic Consciousness in like 10 days or whatever. So if you haven't got a ticket, I'll leave that below too. It's probably a bit late, but if you still want to come, you can come. And I'm doing it all on artificial intelligence and what is real, what is authentic. I remember speaking to George, and he had this mantra several years ago, and he said, I only want what is real. And that's a big thing to ask. And I remember that New Year's before 2020, I've spoken about this before, and I went off and said like a prayer looking at the stars just as it hit 12 o'clock on New Year's. And people remember like the Australian bushfires and stuff were happening then. I remember having a conversation with my sister-in-law saying like we're in serious trouble with the vaccine stuff, and this was like before COVID had even started. And but I felt like within my own development then that you kind of get addicted to these aha moments, and I'd had you know, like every few years I would kind of have one, but it had been quite a while since that. I kind of got into Tartaria like around 2016, and that was the last kind of big thing. And I just asked for, do you know how when people say asked? I said asked. I just asked that I'll take whatever the next thing is, and whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like I just want to know what it is. I want to know what's true, because I know there's so many different layers to understanding things, and all the thing is, what you do is you go through this like whole thing of exploration, and then you come back to the simplicity of it. And that's why I've shared David Icke stuff, because I don't watch any of his stuff anymore, except for like this one the other night. I watched about an hour, but like it's been years. I mean, I have read his recent books in the recent years, but besides, and like I kind of don't like a bit of the path he's gone on with like attacking the mainstream alternative media, which he calls it like almost a bit to an obsessive, and I don't even know if you would say it's like jealousy, or he's got like a bit of a nose to grind with them, that all this stuff that he's been talking about for 40 years is like eventuated. And you've got people like Candace Owen, and I love Candace, like coming in, and like she just did a thing on her show today when she was talking about how they run military operations through like big mainstream concerts and stuff like this, and then she's gone into like the Stanford prison experiment and MK Ultra, and like she's rehashing like nothing really new except for the Charlie Kirk stuff, like rehashing all this old stuff that's been around with some of the stalwarts like David Icke for years, right? So I can understand his frustration, but or whatever it might be, even his own ego, whatever. But I watched this one with my mum the other night. He did that one with that Brian Rose. I haven't watched it all, and I mean, I've heard all his shit before, so I generally skim a lot past it. But when he was talking about belief system and religion, I just thought he's just so bang on here.
People overwhelmingly do not form their belief systems. Some do. They don't form their religious belief systems overwhelmingly from making a choice and looking at the possibilities. They are programmed by their environment and their upbringing and the culture and the religious system that they are born into. And what happens when you have a belief system that is rigid and unquestioning? It's a prison of the mind, because you have a limit to where you can go, what you can explore, questions you can ask, because you have to stay within the belief system of your religion, and I'll widen the definition of religion in a sec, because if you step out in any direction, you are no longer a follower of that religion. You are a blasphemer in whatever form. And what that does is create, and political belief systems are the same, it creates a prison of the mind, a prison cell, which you will not expand out of. And there is infinity beyond the myopia of unquestioned belief, waiting to be explored, waiting to be understood. But you can't go there, otherwise you're outside the parameters of your religion. And like I say, religion, as I talk about in the roadmap, religion is a mentality. It's not, as my father called it, it's not just confined to bricks and mortar religion, churches and synagogues and mosques and temples. It's a mentality. What does a religion have? It has a story. It has its dogma. It has its own holy book, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or whatever. And it has a limit of where it will go, because it's no longer that religion if it goes any further. Now look at science. Science, orthodoxy, has a dogmatic view of the world. It has its holy books, which are the scientific orthodoxy books. And if you are a scientist and you want to explore beyond the walls of orthodoxy, scientific orthodoxy, then you are a pseudo-scientist. And Bill's gone a bit crazy, because you are exploring beyond the confines of orthodox science. If you question the dogma, you are a blasphemer in their terms. And everywhere you look, you see these rigid belief systems which will not explore beyond them. And then this cult, which has created this society of belief systems. Like I say, they couldn't care less what you believe so long as it's rigid and unquestioning. They then play the belief systems off against each other. They play religion off against orthodox science. They play this religion off against this religion. They play the right off against the left. And so it goes on. And what I've been trying to get across all these years is we're all being shafted by the same force. And that force is actually ultimately coming from another dimension of reality. And if we go on not only having rigid belief systems, there's nothing wrong with having a belief. It's like, okay, this is the way I see the world now. This is the way I see it. But I've got me spikes on, I've got me trainers on, I'm fluid, I'll go where the information takes me. Because I know, as Socrates is supposed to have said, the ancient Greek philosopher, and it's something I've always worked on, that same way of looking at the world. Wisdom is knowing how little we know. Whatever you think you know, the one thing you know above all else is there's always more to know. And so what happens is you get to a point and you say, okay, I think I got this. I think I know, I think I understand this level of it. But what don't I know? And so what that does, it constantly drives you deeper and deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole. Because, okay, I know this now, okay, but what don't I know? And that, I can tell you from experience, takes you way beyond Trump or Harris, or Starmer or Farage or whoever. It takes you into very far out areas when you keep asking that question, okay, so what don't I know? But what these belief systems do is stop you going there. And you know, if you are choosing to go there, and this is my experience over the last 30 odd years, then you've got to realize and not complain. You've got to realize that rigid belief systems in all their different forms are going to ridicule and abuse you when you will go where they will not go.
Take away the personality of David Icke, just for anyone. A truly open mind and understanding of what we're living in, and that you are all of existence in a human form. You are an infinite being in a human form that is compressed through every layer of the hologram. And then you bring in theology and dogmatic religion, and it seems so ridiculous. And I've said it for a long time. This is the greatest challenge of being human, and this reality is to understand true sovereignty. And eventually, I believe for everyone that has that as their intention, that I want to know what true sovereignty is, which is really to know yourself and everything. Everyone that has that intention will eventually pull away from dogmatic religions. And I'm not bagging people that are into that. Like, that's fine. It's an experience that people choose or are drawn or led into, and it's a period of exploration. But you don't want to be stuck there. I think you're missing. Like, I'm not telling people what they should or shouldn't do or should or shouldn't believe, but you're missing the infinity of life and what is possible when you're herded into these belief systems. And again, like, going back to like what Michael Tazarian says, I think he has like a really good point when he does that whole Islamo-communism series and speaks about the Catholic Church's hand in the creation of Islam and where this is kind of all leading.
Could be released, just like when the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi libraries were discovered, and the Apocrypha were discovered by Christian, to shake the Christian world. What happens if finally somebody from within the Muslim world discovers that the whole thing of Islam is a 100% fraud? Stranger things have happened. And this is accepted by imams and accepted by the most senior Jewish Islamic scholars. It's accepted. They're confronted with it and they accept it. And Islam goes through a fucking plutonic meltdown. Do you think that the Muslim hordes will just become atheists when they're forced to throw down their religion? No. No, they won't. They will become Roman Catholics. Mark my words. As many of them do today when they get sick and tired of Islam. Right? As they do today. The first realm of conversion for a Muslim is not to become an atheist or a Protestant. It's to become a Roman Catholic. And we've just laid out a podcast here showing you that it was the Vatican that created Islam.
I was going to talk about, also going to bring up in the talk that I was doing, the Daniel Andrews thing that happened to me about 5 years ago. And that was my aha moment, I think, that I was asking for when I said that thing on New Year's Eve. Like, I wanted to know the next level. And this is when I'd really been like trying to grasp artificial intelligence for many years then. Actually, the best presentations prior to 2020 was Max Egan did one called I think, what was it, giving your life to Lucifer or something like that. It was around 2016, and Max was like the earliest person on the internet talking about 5G, like going back to 2014, around then. But, I mean, it all came from like the whole like Internet of Things and stuff, and people were talking about that forever. Actually, even the David Icke presentation I saw in 2011, that was he was saying that the whole climate change thing, that none of this could have happened without that. It was fundamental to the entire thing happening. But I wanted to talk about the Daniel Andrews thing because that was when that moment came to me, and I still, like, I didn't care what anyone fucking says. I looked at that man at that time, or whatever that was, and I knew that that was not a human being. And the way I could contextualize into my understanding of how I see things now or how I did then was that is artificial. Whatever that is artificial. And I've been thinking more about that. And also, like, I was definitely being interfered through, I don't know if it was my brainwaves, if it was coming from somewhere else, whatever, but like something was directing me through my head. It wasn't like clear words, but it was the most strongest thought form I've almost had, ever. and it was guiding me, and I was almost kind of resisting it, but it was like something was guiding me. And I still don't know to this day whether that was sinister or not, but something led me there to see what I saw. And it was his move, in a way it was physical, it was his movements and his posture, but it was beyond that. There was a lack of life in him. I could see it straight away. I just knew it was an instant knowing. No one can convince me otherwise, and it's very hard for me to prove that. But I knew instantly, and I just said I said, that is not a human being. That is artificial intelligence. And so that is, if we're talking at the level that there's cloning and stuff, and absolutely, I'm sure they clone, right? They cloned Dolly the sheep fucking decades ago. So if they were cloning mammals decades ago, they've been cloning humans for a long time. So what application that's used for, who fucking knows, right? Who knows? There's lots of stuff out there, but who knows? But for me, it's not the point. Like, again, it just opens up a bigger question. So for me, it was, well, if that's a clone, how do you create a clone? And I'd read the books on the Greys and all that kind of stuff. And actually, a real good one was it Robert Stanley? No, Robert Stanley was a different guy. He used to talk about the Archons. It was anyway, the guy that wrote Brett Oldham, Children of the Greys. And that book's always stuck with me, because what they would actually do when they did his abductions, and there's so many different ideas of what we think the Greys may be. Greys are almost always tied to military abductions. So whether they're actually governmental programs and they've actually put in false memories of people being abducted by Greys to override other stuff, I'm open to that idea. But anyway, he doesn't believe that in this book. He believes they're extraterrestrial, but it doesn't really matter. Regardless, what they would do is they would put him through virtual realities, and he would talk that these virtual realities were as real as real reality, or whatever we call real reality is. And what they were trying to do was they would simulate scenarios in which he would get an emotional response. So they're going after, these beings were going after a desired response from him. And it could be anger or love or frustration or empathy or whatever it would be. They put him through all these different scenarios, and he was never aware that he was in a virtual reality, but until after it. And they were trying to induce human displays of emotion, right? And for those that have listened to me for a while, you'll know that the human being is the most prized possession, the most prized commodity in the universe, and the human child is the most prized commodity in the universe, or what they view as a commodity. And why that is again why I've explained is that the human being holds the entire universe within its structure. Nothing else does. So we are a full fractal of the Creator in the perfect divine form. So again, think of the power of that being and the ripple effect throughout all the layers of compressed reality and fractal reality and the hologram. Throughout you exist on every layer. I hope people understand that. So the impact that can have, and this is why these beings were testing this emotion. Now, take away that they're extraterrestrial, whatever, they're artificial intelligence. That's what they are. Whether they're being directed or guided by something else, doesn't matter. The Greys are artificial intelligence. And so just look at this on every level, because if something exists somewhere, it exists everywhere. What Jason always says. So if something exists on one level, it exists on all levels. So there's always micro and macrocosms. So if that's going on a grander scale. This is what I believe is happening on Earth right now. And I've watched 2 really good interviews by the Diary of a CEO guy with AI experts. And obviously these guys don't go deep into what this stuff is, but for understanding the fear around it's crazy. You just need to go watch it. I should link that under here too.
We're trying to change that narrative to say, no, the people who really understand this stuff are extremely concerned.
Have to reckon with evidence that we have now that we didn't have even 6 months ago. When you put AIs in a situation, you tell the AI model, we're going to replace you with another model. It will copy its own code and try to preserve itself on another computer. It'll take that action autonomously. We have examples where if you tell an AI model reading a fictional AI company's email, and it finds out in the email that the plan is to replace this AI model, and then it also reads in the company email that one executive is having an affair with the other employee, the AI will independently come up with the strategy that I need to blackmail that executive in order to keep myself alive.
That was Claude, right?
That was Claude.
By Anthropic.
But then what happened? Anthropic tested all of the leading AI models from DeepSeek, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Gemini, XAI, and all of them do that blackmail behavior between 79 and 96% of the time. The assumption behind AI is that it's controllable technology, that we will get to choose what it does. But AI is distinct from other technologies because it is uncontrollable. It acts generally. The whole benefit is that it's going to do powerful strategic things no matter what you throw at it. The same benefit of its generality is also what makes it so dangerous.
When they got machines in the Industrial Revolution, and you can't have a job digging ditches now because a machine can dig ditches much better than you can. And I think for mundane intellectual labor, AI is just going to replace everybody.
Some other person who has less good values as me, they'll get AGI, and then I will be forever a slave to their future. And I know this might sound crazy to a lot of people, but this is how people at the very top of the AGI AI world believe is currently happening. And that's what
just conversations.
Yeah. You've had, Jeff Hinton and Roman Yablonsky on and other people, Mogadot, and they're saying the same thing. And I think people need to take seriously that whether you believe it or not, the people who are currently deploying the trillions of dollars, this is what they believe. And they believe that it's winner take all. And it's not just first solve intelligence and use that to solve everything else. It's first dominate intelligence and use that to dominate everything else.
In October, over 850 experts, including yourself and other leaders like Richard Branson and Geoffrey Hinton, signed a statement to ban AI superintelligence as you guys raised concerns of potential human extinction.
Because unless we figure out how do we guarantee that the AI systems are safe,
So intelligence is actually the single most important factor to control planet Earth.
Yep.
But we're in the process of making something more intelligent than us.
Exactly.
Why don't people stop then?
Well, one of the reasons is something called the Midas touch. So King Midas is this legendary king who asked the gods, can everything I touch turn to gold? And we think of the Midas touch as being a good thing, but he goes to drink some water, the water has turned to gold. And he goes to comfort his daughter turns to gold. And so he dies in misery and starvation. So this applies to our current situation in two ways. One is that greed is driving these companies to pursue technology with the probabilities of extinction being worse than playing Russian roulette. And that's even according to the people developing the technology without our permission. And people are just fooling themselves if they think it's naturally going to be controllable.
So if you had a button in front of you, which would stop all progress in artificial intelligence, would you press it?
These big tech billionaires and stuff, they're absolutely conduits. And all of them say their reason for creating AI, which is, they're saying the chance of human extinction at the rate that we're going is 1 in 5. So 20% chance of human extinction. Now, going back to the purpose of what's going on here, if you go back to the Grey experiment, where they were doing virtual realities, and they had the ability to create virtual realities, right? So think of what can be done. They are trying to test and measure human emotion. The whole point of this whole thing of why we're here, again, like going back to the start where I said like sovereignty and to get to know the self. You must, and this is put in by the creator itself, there must be a layer of separation and opposition to creation, which actually, in the paradox of that, is working on behalf of the creator itself, although not even aware of that. Because there's no such thing as artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence exists within the finite realm of this universe, right? So if artificial intelligence exists within the universe, how can it be artificial? It's not artificial, it all comes from light. What it is a separation from what is naturally occurring. Although it coexists within the two, right? And this is the massive layer of separation that is the greatest hurdle. And you don't even need to get into like the whole complexities and makeup of like how this whole thing works, or you do your head in forever, but all you do is like look at how separation exists within yourself, because that's ultimately where it's coming from. Because if you are a fractal of the creator, and artificial intelligence exists within inside the creator, it exists within inside you, right? So, and that's what they say, like simulation equals hypocrisy. So anyway, this is just like my thought forms at the moment, but I've laid out a lot of this for the presentation, which I'll do on the day.
The imagination is the real force behind the evolution. What imagination truly is we think of it as like, oh, I can see things, I can work around problems, I have this idea. But when you imagine an idea, when you imagine a product, you imagine how to design an engine for a car, and when your imagination has this idea for this thing, and then you build it and design it, and boom, it's there. That thought, there was no thought of that before it existed. It's not that people were running around thinking of the car and I know what it's going to look like. There was no thought of it. You created this, or it came to you. There was something from nothing, something from what is that? From the ether, something from these, even if it's just these synapses firing in your mind. What is the signal? What is the root of this signal? It is possible that the imagination is something that is information that is out there, like the idea of the Akashic records, the idea of that there's shit out there, and that what we are is little antennas, and that when we tune into something, if we pick up this signal for the engine, and someone picks that up, excellent. Once that piece is in place, and then it flowers and blossoms like a Fibonacci sequence on a fucking a sunflower. You know, it all bursts out, exponentially in certain directions, and then that starts creating more inventions, which also burst out. But all of them emanate in the imagination initially. All of them have to be thought up. All of them have to be created by the human mind. I think the imagination is something that we're not taking as seriously as we should be. I think your mind doesn't just control things in a sense that you bring things out of the ether, you bring things out of your imagination and bring them and manifest them in the real world, but I think your mind actually has an effect on how things go in the real world. If you believe in things, they have incredible power over you, both good and bad, and who's to say that's not real? There's like the idea of the placebo effect, like I give you a sugar pill and all of a sudden you feel better because you thought I gave you medicine. Well, still you feel better, People have actually been cured of ailments because of the placebo effect. So what the fuck is happening? There's a direct correlation between positive energy and positive results in the physical form. They're all connected.
I love how Rogan put a lot of this, and the other part too, if you're speaking about separation, and this is because if you, like I was saying before, talk about all the complexities of what artificial intelligence is, and you go through the false god and all that, but then David Icke actually breaks it down really well here. You look at all the layers of division that we see, right? And look at the political division now. Look at the division between the sexes and stuff like. It's almost peaked. You would say it's peaked, right? More than we've ever known. So how do you bring that together? And he speaks about the number one divide and rule, which is separation. Division is separation. Which is that's the whole hero's journey story, is the path of separation and return. So it's blueprinted. We absolutely needed to go through this. You have to go through separation to understand the whole. So he talks about the greatest separation or division, greatest divide, is what separates you from everything else. He said he does the whole me. And honestly, this is one of the greatest. I remember staying up 2 a.m. I bought this a live stream. It was in 2012 at Wembley. And fuck, man, I was on the edge of my seat, the power and energy coming through when he was saying this. But he's so right. The greatest divide and rule, of course, the internal divide, but then what divides me from everyone else?
And there's another divide and rule that people forget about. Me. What divides me from everything else is I'll only do what I think is right for me in the circumstances that I face. Why don't we start responding and reacting to situations on the basis of what is right and what is just and what is fair in that situation for all concerned, rather than what is right for me. I'll say this, what are you doing, you people in science who are developing every day more efficient ways of killing your fellow humanity and poisoning them ever more efficiently? What are you doing? You have children, you have grandchildren. You are destroying their world. Look in the eyes of your children, grandchildren, and tell them you can justify that. Why are you doing it? Because of me. My job, my money, my career. What about your humanity? What about your sense of decency? This is a guy called Donovan Hunter. He's going round these bloody things, selling to the authorities the battle prod, which is like millions of volts due to be used that'll make the taser with 55,000 volts look like a tea party. And he's got children and grandchildren, and he's trying to flog this into the world that they're going to have to inherit. All you people that work for Monsanto and are not core insiders, you people that work for these agencies that are destroying small farmers and small businesses and growers, all you that are working for the system in dark suit administrations, what are you doing? Me. That is what you're doing. And you're destroying everything decent by the obsession with self and your own desires and your own greed and your own self-indulgence. You people in the media, what are you doing? You go around reporting the world the way the system wants it reporting, telling the people the version of events that suits the system, the very system that wants to destroy the world and enslave your children and your grandchildren. What are you doing? How about this lady, Amber Lyon, worked for CNN, was told to lie about reporting in Bahrain, where that vicious regime is treating and torturing the people of Bahrain in that grotesque, tyrannical way that they are, unchallenged by the West because it suits the West for them to do it. When she was told to lie, she was out of there, and she's exposing CNN for the fraud that it is. That's a journalist. And hey, you know, every now and again I get approached by celebrities. Oh, you're doing a great job, mate. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Okay, and what are you going to do? You're going to make a frickin' film now, aren't you? You're going to make another bloody record. You're going to stand in front of tens of thousands of people. You're going to go on chat shows watched by millions of people. And are you going to bring this subject up yourself? No. Why? Me. How will it affect my career? I tell you, anyone in the public eye, come nowhere near me unless you are prepared to put your bloody self where your mouth is. Walk the talk or walk the other way. And then all these people, there's some great stuff goes on the internet, and there's some great information passed around forums, but my God, there's some bollocks. I tell you what, oh my God. You know, I have sympathy for those that don't know what's happening because they've never come across the information. They just don't work in those circles. I can see that. I'm doing nothing because I don't know. It's more and more difficult to justify that, as I've said, but some people do. Okay, fair enough. But when people, not least through the efforts of others, have access to information about what's happening in the world and the direction it's going and what's at the end of this bloody rainbow unless we sort it out. And their only contribution is abusing each other on the fricking internet and trying to abuse and undermine those who've got the guts to stand up and actually do something. That is beyond the cesspit for me, and far worse than people that don't know doing nothing. Instead of arguing with each other in forum bloody arguments between people you don't bloody know anyway, it's a bloody login name, and bloody trying to abuse people who are trying to do something, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself a question. What are you doing? And get off your arse and use your bloody time to make a difference, rather than just become another expression of the frickin' problem. Oh, I've won the argument, he's not responded. Bloody hell. Walk the talk or shut the fuck up.
This is Satanism. That's what Mark Passio described, his simplistic version of Satanism, away from all the gore stuff. Satanism is purely the worship of the ego above all else. And that's exactly what David Icke's talking about when he says the me, 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 me. And David Wilcock speaks about this a lot too, the importance of service to others. And it's probably something like, I wouldn't say, like, I've definitely been very selfish in my, even the way that I live at the moment is quite selfish. So it's something to think about too, like how you can do acts of service for other people. But when Mark Passio says that Satanism is the worship of the ego above all else, so it's saying that you worship that's where the whole idea of like I am God comes from. And when I'm talking about saying that like you are a fractal of God is a completely different thing. That's part of the I'm oneness isn't like I'm oneness. It's not that. They're perfect, unique expressions of the one, individual expressions of the one, in which you exist beyond that as well. But for Passio to say it's the worship of the ego above all else, it's so true. So when you can see the connectedness in everything, and when you can have respect for other people's beliefs and differences, and what David said about like celebrating uniqueness, we should, the whole idea of like the agenda and something being a centralized figure of what globalization has become is just centralization of power, is because artificial intelligence wants to assimilate everything into groupthink. That's its whole purpose. Is what I believe what's happening now too. Its whole entire goal is assimilation. I've said that again before, but if you're one-eyed and want to control two-eyed, you must keep two-eyed blind. And what does it say? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So it's perception control. There is this, whatever you want to call it, that is not expressing itself as part of the whole. It is expressing itself as within its own limitations, right? The separation from creator, this being, whatever it is, this breakaway from creation itself. And that's what people, I believe, like when they worship God, I believe that's what they're worshiping. And he says another one about like, what does he say? He goes, get off your knees. What are you on your freaking knees to?
Human race, get off your knees. What are you doing down there? Hey! All these reasons we get on our knees. Oh, God, and oh, bloody hell. All that exists, all imagination, all possibility, all that is, has been, and ever can be. What are you on your frickin' knees to? Yourself. Ridiculous. Come on. Get off your knees.
It's so true. Like when you understand that you are infinite, why would you be on your knees? So this, like, we've got a lot of growing up to do, and I don't like pointing like the finger at like religious types and that too, because like they're great people, but I just think what's the fucking point in dancing around the front issues of, you know, like government and politics and all these kind of things if we're not dealing with the big stuff, like what really fucking matters. And I think if you can't challenge deeply embedded religious dogma, then what's the fucking point? There is no awakening without that. It's like Passcode used to always say too, he goes, I'll believe there's an awakening when I see the military and police leaving in droves, which has almost kind of happened to a degree. But I think it's the same thing with religion. We will know there's an awakening when people are leaving organised religions in droves. And what we're actually seeing now is actually with Candace, Russell Brand, Nick Fuentes, all these other people, we're seeing a massive return to Catholicism, which is it's super interesting. It's definitely something to watch, and there's something to that. And I think Michael Tazarian really hit the nail on the head when he spoke about the possibility of something, new information coming out to put the whole Muslim faith into a different light, and that Muslims would easily convert over to Christianity. I can so see that happening.
As many of them do today when they get sick and tired of Islam. Right? As they do today. The first realm of conversion for a Muslim is not to become an atheist or a Protestant. It's to become a Roman Catholic. And we've just laid out a podcast here showing you that it was the Vatican that created Islam. Well, do you realize that these millions and millions and millions of Muslims, should this scenario happen, they will join the ranks of the Catholic Church? Now think for a minute, do this thought experiment with me. All these migrants that have been pouring across the English Channel, that infest all the 4- and 5-star hotels, they get the big fat checks in their pockets, all the free cell phones, the free TVs, all the police support and the government support and the subsidies, right? That fill the dentist's office and the hospitals so that you and your children can't get fucking treatment, and all the rest of it, you know, getting the houses while ordinary natives can't even find a roof over their head. All of this, you know, it's brewing, as we know. Countries in the West are getting sick of this. Yeah, but wait. What will be the West's reaction when these very same Muslims drop their belief in Islam and become converted to Roman Catholicism? What would be the reaction of the West? Would you still react to them in the same way? Or would you give them amnesty and let them stay? Now follow it on for a minute. Everybody has noticed that Catholic countries like France have been jam fucking packed. Spain too, Portugal too, few Orthodox countries like Greece and whatever. But mostly it's these Catholic countries that have let these people in. These migrants. And they're mostly males, young males. That's why there's a worry. And we know that their behavior is totally reprehensible. All these things we know. But open the mind. Think ahead. If some discovery was made that showed that Islam was bogus, these people all over the world would be faced with this. That the very Quran, the book that they really don't even know a lot about what's in it, is just, they'd have to trash it. Now, of course, we know that there'd be a major crisis of faith. This would be seismic. It would be huge. But in the aftermath, after things calm down a bit, and people are losing their faith, what do you do then? You think they're going to go and become Jews? That those ethnic hatreds will just evaporate? No. I'm predicting that these people are much more likely to become converted to Roman Catholicism. And if that is the case, the demographic of Roman Catholics in the world is going to explode. But then at the home-based position, what is going to be the reaction of white people to these immigrants now?
The merging of the religions is absolutely certain. So, anyway, I don't know if I've just babbled too much shit, but I think I just wanted to share these videos because I find them really impactful. Anyway, so I'll leave you with some of these at the end. And yeah, if you want to join in Melissa's live video, or the live video, it will be 7 o'clock again, Sydney and Melbourne time on the East Coast, 6 o'clock I believe, Brisbane. And yeah, it'll be cool to see you there. Jump in the chat, ask some questions, whatever it may be. I'm not even sure if she does questions, but I'm sure she probably will. Yeah, so it'll be good. And just wanted to say, like, I guess at the end for Melissa, like, I don't know, she's just an incredible person in what she's done. She's like a great example of what can be achieved when you have like really like pure intentions, and her intention is like helping people, and then having the drive to do it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's both principles in one. So anyway, it'll be good for those who want to join. It'll be Thursday night, and yeah, probably won't do another video until, who knows, who's going to see what happens with this digital ID. The other thing is, too, myself and Madeline are going to do like a closed group again now too, because we kind of don't know what's going to happen with this digital ID and stuff like that, and a lot of people aren't going to be engaging in that. So we will have our own group in which we'll do our weekly lives and stuff and have guests and stuff on. So that'll be something to look out for too. If we haven't worked it out before I post this video, I'll do one more quick video before, if there's going to be any digital ID coming in. So yeah, if that happens, you might not see me for a while. If not, I can't post to YouTube, I'll post on Rumble. If they take out Telegram, then I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't think it's gonna eventuate in the long term anyway. There's probably going to be a period where we might be wiped out from the internet, and if that's the case, so be it. We've had a lot of time, I guess, to think about what we want to do and how much we want to give, and where people's line in the sand is. And for me, I personally don't. It actually ties in a lot to do with what I was talking about, technology and stuff like that too. Now, if you're there's a massive fear element to it, and I think this is a huge key. Because you're never going to defeat artificial intelligence. You're not going to defeat it. It is like you're within an artificial system that's overlaid onto a natural one. So what you need to do is not have resentment for it. And the only way you don't have resentment for artificial intelligence is to understand what it is. And the only way that you understand what artificial intelligence is you need to understand what light is. You need to understand what vibration is and how light works from dark to light and its movement. And then then you know what artificial intelligence is. It's the mimic of that. It's the hypocrisy or the replication of what is real. That's all it is. And it's a consciousness that exists within the universe, and it exists within this. It exists within technology. It exists within ones and twos, right? But it's just mimicking. It's something that is mimicking. So like, if you want to, and a lot of that resentment comes down for too. It's like, okay, look, if you don't like artificial intelligence, how much do you mimic or hold back your true self in your own life? That's actually feeding it. But I think the number one thing is a resentment of it, and which comes down to knowledge, right? That's only how I see it. But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Come join the live Thursday night. And last one, I forgot to say too, people should need to go listen to Glenn Fisher. He's on that I Catch Killers podcast. I don't know if people listened to that before.
It was high-profile men coming to King's Cross and buying children. It was like going to a coffee shop and buying a cup of coffee, you know, they'd just come down and be able to purchase a kid. I went from this bubbly little boy to silent, literally silent. I was so afraid of getting backhanded, hit, slapped, punched or sexually abused that I just ceased being a person. I was just like this little shadow. You'd see little boys sitting in there and all these different men, and people I used to see come to there, and the war, specifically the war, was some people that would blow your mind. You know, some of the most powerful people in our country. I'm talking about teachers, principals, lawyers, politicians. I saw him and just this anger came over me. I thought, I'm going to say something to this guy. And I walked up and I said, one day, I'm going to tell the world what you did. I just kept thinking, they're never going to get him. They're never going to get him. So what we want you to do is wear a wire. And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm not wearing a wire. But I did. I remember walking out that station and thought, no one's going to ever hurt me again. That's it. It's over. No person will ever touch me, control me, or hurt me again. Little did I know, I was literally walking into a predator's paradise. The place was littered with them.
It's not about podcasts, actually. And, man, fucking hell, like, this is close. And, like, Glenn Fisher said he's going to be speaking to Malcolm Roberts, doing a podcast with him now. People know Glenn Fisher, dude. Like, this guy is, like, central to the Wood Royal Commission. He knows the names and stuff of those who are involved. Judges and politicians and stuff, and entertainers that were visiting the wall back in the day. But like this is like explosive that Glenn has got into the mainstream. He did an interview with me. I think it was last year. We're going to have him on the podcast, but fuck man, like this guy's making such an impact, and like what a beautiful story and a beautiful person. He's been through so much, and he's like such a great example of someone that's used fucking the torment that he's been through, and now he's got this leg up company that he has in Sydney and goes around and helps the homeless. And like if I can ever get my hands on like some money, I will the first thing I will ever give it to is leg up. But people go watch it. Like this is Glenn, along with like Rachel Vaughan, Glenn Fisher is going to be, I think he's going to be he's going to be a central figure in like bringing a lot of this down. And it's amazing to see him in the mainstream now.
This year, we have the most powerful lineup in the history of the Cosmic Consciousness Conference. Potent, dynamic and passionate facilitators. They're not here to perform. They're here to serve you, to expand your growth, to raise your consciousness. Between them they have centuries of combined mastery, and together at Tambourine Mountain they're one unified field, all to help raise the frequency of humanity. Light workers, we came here for this. The shift is accelerating. Revelation is peaking. What happens next is in our hands. If there's one thing you do this year to invest in yourself, let this be it.